Hello everyone, and welcome to another GIS lecture video series. And in this lecture video series, what I want to talk about is a brief introduction to remote sensing. Remote sensing. Remote sensing, broadly speaking, is the idea that we can sense things, right, hence the sensing part, without having to touch them or interact with them, hence the remote part. This is predominantly dealing with imagery that comes from what are essentially sophisticated cameras. And so what we're going to talk about in this lecture series is briefly cover or review raster data, because imagery boils down to raster data, so just reminding ourselves what the components of raster data are. We're going to talk about electromagnetic radiation, because electromagnetic radiation allows us to do the remote part, right? Because the electromagnetic radiation is the thing that's actually going to be interacting with the feature that we're trying to sense. Then we're going to talk about interactions with matter. Basically, how this electromagnetic radiation can actually interact with matter and the ways that that can happen. Then we're going to talk about some remote sensing concepts. This idea of band assignment. And indices. Which, if these two things don't make sense to you, that's okay. Band assignment is basically going to have to deal with how we relate this idea of electromagnetic radiation with the actual software, so ArcGIS Pro. And then the indices is going to have to do with how we can use mathematics, rudimentary mathematics, to compare and contrast different portions of electromagnetic radiation that we're sensing to get data that isn't necessarily directly available in the radiation itself. And we're going to look at some examples of that. Okay, so again, just as an overview, we're going to review the raster data set, talk about electromagnetic radiation, talk about how electromagnetic radiation interacts with matter, and then finally wrap up with a couple of remote sensing concepts that allow us to use those interactions and the concepts of electromagnetic radiation to build up a tool set for being able to do some real analysis, which is going to be the focus of the next module series. Okay, so as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.